Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Shaq here, and welcome back to my ongoing coverage of Star Citizen. Chris Roberts recently sat down and answered some really interesting questions this past week for 10 for the Chairman, giving us some clues as to what he's thinking when designing the persistent universe. Are we talking more theme parky World of Warcrafty, or are we talking more EVE Online sandboxy? E-ness. One of the main objectives Chris Roberts has stated multiple times, at least early in the development of Star Citizen, has been reiterated this week. It's his ongoing goal for Star Citizen to feel much more alive than the traditional MMO. Speaking specifically about games that started coming out after EverQuest that felt really static. They never really felt changing and never really felt active. Think World of Warcraft, and I totally get where he's coming from with this. The fields of AI enemy pixels just waiting to be slaughtered in the masses, so some guy can collect his 10 allotted bear asses and then, go run off to some emotionless static NPC that's screaming about how the bears are taking all the good jobs and they need to be sent to Beartopia at the point of a sword, and that's basically a quest. It's static and boring, and the goblins are never actually attacking the village, they're just standing in a field next to the village, and the village happens to be on fire. This is the MMO industry as we know it and how it's been for the last, 15 years. It's sad. What Roberts wants for Star Citizen is to be more in line with a game like, say, EVE Online, Star Wars Galaxies, or maybe even old school UO. Content that's driven not only by scripted events that developers have produced, but mechanics that play a lot on the dynamic world. He goes so far as to state that the in-house concept of 90-10, 90% NPCs running about the universe doing what they do. Pirates pirating, police is policing, traders trading, bounty hunters, yada yada, explorers, you know what I'm talking about, all doing what they do. That 10% though is the actual player base, also doing what they do, which was actually all the above that I mentioned before. Then taking this universe of characters and having them play off each other. A pirate NPC attacks a player trader calls for help, and then player bounty hunters show up maybe. Now this is just an example that I'm using, not one that he gave, but it kind of fits. He even used EVE Online as an example of how great stories, player interaction, and drama can be created by the population. But he's not a real big fan of the mechanics for EVE, and I totally get that. I'm an EVE veteran with over 6 years of experience in the game, and I know the game is a slow, boring mess. There's a reason they call it spreadsheets in space. But then there's those moments when your heart's pounding with excitement, when you've got everything on the line and you've just got to make one more gate jump. You've got to get through that enemy territory, or maybe you've got to take that enemy space station down. That they give you stories that you'll talk about for years to come. This idea that players can actually affect the universe they're in, something that Elite Dangerous has really failed to grasp, is the idea that you can actually change the universe. Sure, the universe is huge to explore, but you can't really impact it in any meaningful way. Roberts brought up the theme park example of fighting through a castle on a quest to kill a big boss, knowing that in an hour another party will just come through and do the exact same thing and kill the same exact boss. It didn't really matter that you killed him, it didn't affect anything at all. Roberts has mentioned how good it is to have your player base be able to actually generate action, drama, and missions through playing the game. Something that Star Wars Galaxies was able to do quite well with their IP, and, well, their open-ended mechanics. It'll be fairly exciting stuff if they can pull it off. Right now, they're working on the framework for first-person, flying ships, and having an actual open universe that doesn't lag out all the time. And once they get those things wrapped up, it'll be interesting to see how they actually shape an MMO. The first actual release of Star Citizen is going to be Squadron 42, which is a single-player, more linear, story-driven experience that's more cinematic. That's why they have all these big named actors hired on. So when they get the PU going, the Persistent Universe, it'll be a whole nother ball of wax. He also mentions how good it is for players to be able to actually create content, because any MMO player knows there's no way a development team can actually keep up with the consumption rate of content that an MMO community can just burn through. Just look at WoW subs. An expansion comes out, they boost up for a few months, and then those players have played through all the new content and they're done. And they're waiting another, year until another expansion comes out? Sandbox games, or games that are based on this dynamic concept of players playing off each other, have content for years and create amazing communities. Look at eFanFest for an example. Another game he used as an example, to my surprise, was Demon's Souls, as an example for earning rewards that you want in-game, and an example of how fairly unforgiving the game can be and how good it feels to achieve something when you've had to work for it. He doesn't want Star Citizen to feel like things are just handed to the player instead of having to be earned. This ties directly into risk versus reward. So say you can take on this high-risk trading mission through alien or lawless space and make a buttload of credits. Or you might find yourself running for your life. Death, in this case, and he didn't mention it, but it has to have real meaning. Something has to be lost in failure if you're going to have a feeling of stakes. What is nice about game design around, well, actually this, is that when you earn those goals, a side effect of that is that players feel invested in gear, characters, relationship, their ships, because they had to go out and earn them. One thing that should be noted from all this, Star Citizen is one of those few games that's trying something new. It's pushing boundaries, not only in graphics and detail, but scale and gameplay. Roberts, just like when he worked on Freelancer, is trying to make something that hasn't been done before in an industry that's, well, largely stagnant and only wants to keep growing the bottom line with sequels and franchise cash-ins. Battlefront, leaving real game development to the indie studios. And that's just sad. It'll be interesting to see if he can pull it off, but I'm going to continue to cover it because honestly, it is the best looking sandbox game that we've ever had. And a AAA sandbox game is something that we've never had. And I can't wait to give it a try. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel for more sci-fi modding and gaming goodness, and I'll see you guys next time.